Welcome back to our channel. If you saw yesterday's video, then you'll know that we picked up some stuff. The filming was erratic because it was busy. There were lots of people, and it was in a privately owned business as opposed to a charity shop. So, you know, respecting people's feelings.
It was also, like you said, really busy.
And you saw snippets. It's not like, you know, we're being sneaky deaky.
Oh no! All these items are shown on camera.
We just wanted you to see them in depth and detail. Now, I just want to address the elephant in the room. There's
no need to talk about me in that way.
I do look like a Vivienne Westwood going on safari. Right. Just ignore it. Just ignore it for today. The dress is fantastic. The hat's fantastic. Together, it's eccentric. Anyway, so let's just move on. The ruffles are here. The hat.
I love the ruffles. They're just one piece from the men's. We bought the shoes as well, but this is the first piece.
So this is by a company called Universal Works. They specialise in menswear, especially utility, choreware, hipster gear. That's what I would describe as hipster gear.
Yeah, I agree.
And as it turns out, I just sold a Crusade pan. And as it turns out, the patchwork styling is apparently well desired in the Universal Works world.
The video where we actually picked this up, you did a few comps. So if you want to go and see any of those kind of alternate bits, go back and watch that video.
You can sell across multiple platforms. Obviously, you can always sell across multiple platforms. Someone asked in the comments the other day, when we're listing items, how do you know what platforms to list them on? Categorically, if I haven't been clear in the past because I talk at a million miles an hour.
Can I come list for you? List everywhere?
No, that's not true, Austin. You start with eBay. Everything goes on eBay. We have multiple eBays that cater to multiple things, but every item goes on eBay, and then you decide what counterparts they go to. So, for example, this Universal Works is a higher end brand. It's not high echelon, but it's a higher end brand. So I would dabble and see if Estia are willing to take it, and it's on their drop down menu. I'd also put it on Depop because it's cool. And then I probably wouldn't put it on printed, vintage, just because the price. No, vintage. The price for this price point is a bit higher, so I probably leave it off vintage for a second.
The point I was making was when people ask that question, generally they mean, have you got a specific one in mind, which sometimes you do have. What I'm saying is, they meant, is there one place you put it, and the answer would be never. No,
never.
I would say most things you cross is at least to 2 platforms.
Never.
You know,
never one platform.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
If you put your eggs in multiple baskets, there is a chance that if you take that to a farmer's market, then someone's going to pick an egg out of one of the baskets.
Damn, son.
That's Universal Works. We paid £8, so it's like a geometric patchwork. It's in a fine corduroy, which is obviously, we love corduroy. Everyone loves corduroy. Paid £8, and I have listed it for 65.
And is that kind of top comp pretty much?
The one sold for 60, but it was red, and well, I don't think red's as desirable. And there was none of the exact shirt. Obviously, this happens a lot. Also, a lot of people who say, "Oh, I can't find my exact one."
That's quite rare to find an exact one of most things, isn't it? Unless they're like iconic pieces of the brand.
The thing is, higher end brands like Ralph Lauren, for example, you're probably going to find your one sold because they make so much stuff. Whereas a higher end brands, unless it was sort of a more ready to wear piece, and it was sort of like
iconic.
Or it was iconic and more popular, then you'll probably find some comps, and you know, most of the time you will find a very similar to your item comp, but you're not always going to find the exact item, and that's okay. Just use you can use that eBay comp as sort of an anchoring point, or you can look on other platforms for comps. Us personally, I know we go on about it all the time, but sometimes we get some new viewers. I know, crazy. I use eBay, Vestia. I use all the different platforms that I use. I look at their solds, and I look at market. I look at the retail price as well. That really goes into my pricing.
I think
thing.
I do. I think a lot of people as well. That's one thing which sounds really obvious, but a lot of people totally negate and don't do at all. Is a retail price. Now, I'm not saying, you know, for a lot of items, once they're new, a bit like a car for a lot of people. Once they're new, it loses value, blah, blah, blah. Cool. I get it. However, if something costs £1,000 brand new, say, for example, for a shirt, the likelihood is that has some kind of residual value, let's be honest. Now, granted, it could be anything from 100 or 50, maybe even £50 right through to eight or £900, that close to the regional retail. What I'm saying is, though, if you have something which you think is of value, whether it's really extreme to the point of £1,000 or even 50, I would always say, like, check multiple kind of platforms, if you will. I noticed a few people recently have been kind of starting to do different kind of comps in their videos, which I think is amazing, because it means people are looking in different places, and that's a good thing.
It's like when you're selling a car, like if you buy a Range Rover for like, I don't know how much Range Rovers are, like 100 grand, say, top of the whack with all the fancy bits.
Yeah.
You're aware that costs 100 grand. So when you come to resell in 5 years, you're not gonna say, yeah, I paid 100 grand, but like who cares? Yeah,
you know, that's what I'm saying.
One sold in Minehead for 20 grand. I'll just sell it for that. You're not gonna think of your initial investment. You're gonna think of, there's loads of factors that go into it. Initial investment, demand of the market, demand of the brand, because you can have demand of the market, right? So say pick a brand like Louis Vuitton. There's a market demand for Louis Vuitton, but say your item is a blue plain shirt or a yellow shirt, or or I don't know, a pair of jeans, right? And you can't find comps for that, so that you say, oh, there's no demand for that item, or someone sold a pair of these jeans for £20 last year. So that's not the value of your item.
I mean, someone sold one for £20. That's all that means.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that's worth that
on eBay. See what I'm saying?
I was just going to say as well. You just said something which was a really good point. You know, a lot of people. I know it's a bit of a side note to our video, but you got me talking now, which is always a problem. You know, when you said about a car, right? 100k isn't that? But it's an easy number, right?
Yeah.
You're aware it's not going to sell for £100, right? You're not going to sell it for £100. What I don't understand sometimes, and say market value is 50k, right? Mm-hmm. What I don't understand, in the car business, for example, car sales, you would never ever get someone doing it for 20 or 15 or 10, because market value is in and around that number. Boom, right? Even if you don't know, you can kind of get a gauge. So why then, as resellers, sometimes, and I'm not just saying other people, when we first started, we did this more often than not. But why then? We get that question all the time about, shall I hold? I don't really want to wait to kind of get the best kind of price for my item. Let me just get it in quick and flip it in, blah blah blah. In the car industry, that would never happen, ever. Do you see what I'm saying? Someone because they paid a low price for it. They got it in really good trade. They're still not going to like go like well under market value. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, and same with like jewelry, watches, high end watches, anything, high end bags, like a Birkin, for example. Okay, you've used your Birkin. Birkin's retail, like, I don't know, out of store maybe 10,000 these days.
Between 10 and 25, depending on
finish. No, I know that's not the actual sample price, but anyway, right? And you're not going to say, oh, I paid £10 for that, right? I know they're selling for, I could get 25,000, but someone sold one for last week for £2,000 on eBay.
So that's what it must be.
So that's what it must be. I've used it, but
you'd never do that, would you? I know. It just I don't know. As resellers of kind of clothing or kind of general items, we rely so heavily on comps. And we've had this discussion a zillion times, and I know it's boring to some people.
I think people say a lot as well, like, oh, they want quantity, fast moving stock. Why can't we have quality and quantity? Why don't we hold off on our prices, buy more of the good stuff, and make loads more money?
I think, well, once again, we've said this 1,000 times, like I just said, I think half the problem is you're always going to get that one person for doing it for whatever reason they choose to. Even if everyone said, every reseller in the whole world said, we're gonna push prices up, right? We're not going to let it go for X. We're going to keep the market where it should be. There'll be that one person who's like, do you know what? I only paid £1.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they just start selling everything cheap. So
and trust, we're not saying we're saying that's okay, you do you, but we can only teach, or we can only tell you from our experience and our viewpoint on it. And I understand everyone has different viewpoints, and that's totally cool. Honestly, we're cool.
The thing is, though, what I would say, and I do get kind of passionate about this, because, well, firstly, bite me, I know I'm right. I've done this for years and years and years, and the market for luxury specifically will always kind of what's the word? It will always level itself out, you know. Yeah. So when people are, you know, they'll say like, oh, I'm just going to sell it quick and blah blah blah. Cool, like you said, you do you. But from my point of view, like that's fine. It doesn't change anything. But when people talk about, for example, some items just don't have that value, or they're maybe not worth something, I think or I just want to quick flip it, like. Compared to what? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think you've got to think about what you're doing, and if you want to make a quick flip and make your money, cool. But from my point of view, there's one way to do it, and the best way is to make as much as possible. As resellers, that's our job.
That's the aim.
Speech over.
This is a Ganni top. So this is a new label. When we say new label Ganni, people are like funny about this. So there's
why?
I don't know. Ganni originally had a small thin label. Then they relaunched with this label, and for some reason they started bringing out these amazing dresses with big collars, big bellowing shapes, etc. And the popularity just went shoo. So everyone relates Ganni's popularity with this label. Does that make sense?
Do you mean the physical label?
Yeah, the new label.
So when they banged, it had this label, so everyone thinks it's because of the new label. Yeah. Okay, I'll be honest, we have pieces.
I mean, they did do better pieces after the new label.
Well, it's more contemporary, it's newer, isn't it?
But we do sell old labels as well. We're just more picky about it. Anyway, so this is a smocked. Oh, I was pointing at the smocked.
Sorry.
This is a smocked, so it's extra stretchy. This is a smocked floral, balloon sleeves,
like little
amazing. Peplum, very like cute, like Little House on the Prairie, but make it fashion. We paid, so it worked out for everything we bought. We paid 140. So every item works out roughly at like £16.
Yeah, we worked out what we bought. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So technically that was £16 and some change. Anyway, and I've listed it for 90. It was 80 or 90.
As long as we're there or thereabouts.
Yes. And
once again, about comps, eh?
That's a good example because comps on eBay for that, I think there were a couple listed for 60. Vestiaire, there were none of that exact blouse, so you can sort of like maybe demand a little bit more because there are none on the site, so maybe, you know, someone wants one and wants to buy it off Vestiaire. The condition is A1. I would say it's new without tags, but I won't. It's used, very good condition. So put all those things into the pot, so it's not just like sometimes when people are selling it personally, you know, you wore that 16 times and you wore it to your Aunt Betty's 70th anniversary and you spilt some red wine down it. Like, you know the history of the piece, and that sometimes can reflect the price that you charge if you're a normal seller, like a
this item
seller.
Will feed into exactly that now.
So you have to weigh all those things into account. Retail is the top end of 200 now on Ganni tops, so you know a reasonable price is just under half of retail. That's reasonable for that piece of item. And if someone sends me a really good offer, then I'll probably take it. This is a Cabbages and Roses knit. Did consider keeping this for myself until I realised it was blue. So
this has got like the most amazing fade, right? You can see that between, that's the original colour, and it's kind of like almost like a sky blue here, right? Why I said it would make sense with this item, for example. Now, if you've owned this and you bought it brand new and it was all this colour, you're like, that's just that faded old thing.
Yeah.
For me, like the Cabbages and Roses specifically, it's about the utility and about the wearing and about like the stories. I know that sounds really like salesy, but it is. That's the whole brand, isn't it? Like the fabrics, I don't know, the cuts, like they're very, it's like a story, I don't know, storytelling, I guess.
The last time we were in Cabbages, we were talking to the owner, well, technically the owner's daughter, but co-owner.
Yeah.
Her name's Kate. And she was saying that they absolutely love seeing their items resell on eBay. It's their favourite thing.
Yeah.
They watch it, they keep a track of what items are selling for more than retail, and whether they can reintroduce that dress or that cardigan for a limited season, because obviously there's a demand for it.
If they stop selling this, for example, I don't know if they do sell this at the moment, but if they stop selling this and then the prices were like double retail on eBay, that's a good sign for them to be like, okay, let's remake it.
But with a piece like this, and I would say with toast and things like this, the wear on this doesn't detract from the piece.
That's what
you have to look at the piece itself, right? So I can look at the original stock photos of the piece and say, oh my goodness, that is faded to death. Or I can look at this piece and say, that's really freaking cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
And don't get me wrong, there are some things and there are some items which, once they're faded, they look a bit naff. They look a bit rubbish, and they are. This is one of them, I'm afraid. And even like the piling, like it doesn't have like debobble, but it has like a kind of like a used texture to it, and I think that's what it should be about.
It's incredibly oversized for layering. That got that sort of Largan look.
What size was it?
It's not Largan looky. It's a medium. Incredibly oversized. Retail would have been near enough 200, a bit more than that probably.
Yep.
I've listed it for 110.
Okay.
I expect to get over 90 for that.
Cool.
It's just a really nice weathered piece. It's sort of like, you know, when people are buying utility workwear, French jackets and stuff, and it's got a bit of like personality to it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's lovely. I think
that's why that trend is like, you see kind of like, even like someone like high street like Marks and Spencer's doing that kind of that chill jacket style now, but where the coolness and where the fun is and where that like the fashion, in at least my opinion, for what it's worth, is the little bits of paint on it, is the fade, is like the denim jacket with the torn kind of, you know what I mean? That's what's cool about it, and that's what workwear's for.
Also, I have listed it as distressed with colour fade. I have listed that because if you're not looking for that, then it's good to know. But if you don't care and you just want the piece for the piece, then it won't make a difference, but it's declared, right? Make sense?
100%.
Anyway, so this is a Rixo newer tags. For example, if this was faded, it wouldn't be the same.
Done for.
So it's piece by piece, for example. So this is a Rixo 100% silk. It's in the bandana color print, if that makes sense. Very 90s bandana-y. It's got the good old pussy bow. Which started to come back in a little bit after Kate Moss wore a pussy bow to court, but it didn't catch on.
It came and went very quickly.
But it's a nice piece. It's got an A-line shape, it's relaxed, it's got a V-neck, it's a size 10. It is new with tags. It's retail for close to £200. We bought it for £16. It was up for 22, but she did a bundle deal because she's a fabulous person. So it cost us £16
Stop
new with
touching,
tags.
it's a piece of card.
I have listed it for 120. Yeah. A used one of these sold on Vestiaire for £42. Good example.
There you go.
But that's new and it's no longer sold. So if you're looking for that top, you're going to pay some money for it. This is another Cabbages and Roses piece. This is sort of like one of the Cabbages and Roses sort of like signature shapes. So it's a drop. It sort of looks like your waist is really long. Does that make sense? It sits on your hips but makes your waist look really long because the buttons go down further. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not a long skirt, but it makes you look long.
It makes you look long. And they normally team these with like a shirt and then like a Breton stripe, if you've seen any of their adverts.
Exactly that. Yeah, it's like really layered, isn't
and
it?
a boot.
And a boot.
Anyway, so this is a wool blend. It's got like a satin. It's actually viscose, isn't it? It's got a satin viscose like lining, which is nice, like a burgundy moment.
Burgundy. It's pocketed too.
It's got the double button, which gives that utility vibe, sort of like utility. It's almost nautical, but it's not because I know the brand isn't nautical. Does that make sense? But if this was sea salt, you would say nautical.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's got pockets. They put pockets in everything. They love pockets. Anyway, so this is a size 12, but it sits quite low, so it's a generous sizing, very structured. You know,
I feel like this could have been part of if anyone saw it, great. If you didn't, go and find it. Kim Kardashian recently did a group of photos which looked like she was I won't call it what looked like she was, but she looked very, what would we say, country chic, covered, I would guess it would be a good word for Kim Kardashian. Prairie, exactly that. And this is kind of like that whole vibe.
£16 and it is listed for 120. There are a few of these skirts listed, and 120 is the highest price listed, so I thought, you know,
there you go, there's our money.
Let's play.
Speaking of Ganni and old label Ganni specifically.
So I bought these on Style, and this is old label Ganni. It's little thin label, you know, see? However, this looks kind of new label Ganni. Does it make sense? Anyway, so they're a wide leg, not really wide, not like palazzo-y, just sort of like relaxed wide.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Loose.
Cropped, like, I call these like pajama pants. You know, they're meant to be like, look like really loosey-goosey, like...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because palazzo pants are kind of like this statement, whereas these aren't. They just sit.
I can imagine a lady wearing this with like a white t-shirt and like hands in the pockets with like a pair of sunglasses.
The t-shirt would be tucked in, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extra wide waistband, which I like. It's a nice feature. Elasticated. I just thought they were very wearable. They're very contemporary. They got roses on. It's
They also newer
Valentine's
tags.
Day. They're newer tags. Paid £16. Newer tags.
I just realised both the pieces that we bought. Oh no, that was Rixo.
The Rixo, the other Ganni are all from the same lady.
Yeah, in the video, once again, if you haven't seen it, just go and watch. In the dress agency at the very end, Bethany is kind of digging while I'm dealing with the lady at the counter, and these were all, like you say, from there. She kept kind of boom, 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 kept on coming.
I quite like these. These are nice.
They are cool.
I've listed them for 100 straight.
So once again, when you tot all these up, you think like, I think it was £16-17 each, you worked out as an average. Like these are some good margins, no matter what you are.
Yeah, they're more expensive, but they're more expensive retail. They're more expensive resale. So
yeah, I think sometimes it's because we do a lot of kind of charity shops and whatever else. I think people like maybe don't get the fact that maybe we do spend more. Like, not that's a lot, but I'm saying in general on certain items.
We don't really show like a lot of we show a lot of charity shops, if everyone's aware, and things like that. But we don't really show a lot of the extracurricular activities that that would involve paying more money. So that's
really cute detail.
Cute. If you like faux diamonds, that's a cute detail.
No, I didn't mean necessarily the faux diamond. I meant the fact that it's John, whereas usually these are like
stuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is high tech. Is it
high tech?
High tech.
Not those shoes you used to have when you were
high use. High tech.
6.
By Claire Campbell. If you're ever looking for comps on this, it's hard to find if you just put high tech in. You want to put high tech. By Claire Campbell. It's a mouthful, but I big up Claire Campbell for making it so.
This was actually really cool because we bought this, like Bethany said, the same place, same kind of group of items all this haul is in. And we didn't realise till we heard the little, as Bethany said, the little rustle of the new tags. New tags, I should say. So that was a little kind of a good, nice little surprise. There's nothing like finding new tags. We did that on another piece recently, actually, didn't we? What was it? Toast, yeah.
Toast. Oh yeah, that toast smock we found and we paid £12 for, which was extortionate. It was new tags. Anyway, so yeah, so this is it's only polyester. However, look at it. So it's
such a cool shape.
It's a high-low.
The back is low.
Shirt, but I would say it was a dress. Cause
obviously, this is
like. No, is it a shirt anyway?
No, it's a shirt.
Yeah, because you would have to wear.
You'd have to wear something there, clearly.
Yeah, but it's like a deconstructed shirt, so like it comes off the end like bibbed almost.
You know what you say about the fabric? Honestly, it's so nice.
That's a pin tuck, isn't it?
So yeah, it is.
Like tuck style. It's got these sleeves that are like curved. I don't know how to describe them. They're like curved. Do you see?
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice detail. To the top button is like
it's a stud.
Yeah, it's a stud.
Do you know what these are called? I am gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, go on.
We got taught this at Mulberry.
Some of the bags had adjusters, leather adjusters.
It's called a porcine stud. That's its official name. Porcine.
Basically, the things you put kind of.
It's a stud, isn't it?
A stud, but the things you kind of like, those that shape, that's a point stud. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought this was really nice. Oversized, size 10, but it's really very cool.
I actually think, like, shape-wise and piece-wise is probably my favourite piece to look at.
I sold a really, what I would consider very un-high-tech, like, dress in the summer. Floral one, I sold it in October. Ruffles, halter neck, like, it was blue. It was just very unlike that brand. I sold that used for 150. So, newer tags, I put that up for 60, because technically it's a shirt tunic. As opposed to a full dress.
Yeah.
But I think that will go really quick. Once again, £16. That is 10x.
The last piece we have to show you
is Cabbages.
Is another Cabbages and Roses. This is going to be a nightmare to show you.
So this is a dress. It's a pleated dress. Cabbages and Roses keep a very good archive, so it's quite easy to find out the exact names of their dresses.
Yes,
or you can just email them because it's a very, very small team. So they
like
will,
3 of them.
Yeah, they will email you back. Everyone thinks it's like this massive corporation. It's a very, very small in-house team. There must be about, I don't know, maybe tops 10 people working for them.
And
they release their collections in up to 15 pieces per. So this would be made into 15 pieces, and obviously that would be spread out over a size run.
That's usually what you find as well. Why they kind of they might drop it out for one season, then bring it back, and vice versa, because they don't create a lot of different items. They kind of redo their items in different colours and fabrics and textures. No.
Yeah, they actually gifted me a dress.
Oh, you should show that one day. That's a beautiful dress.
And they only did that in a limited to 5 pieces.
You actually had the sample as well.
I had the sample.
You're so lucky. They gave me a very nice dress as well. No, I didn't get anything.
No, Austin dropped a bottle of red wine on the floor.
We're in a carpet for life, but yeah, you know.
Anyway, so
just me.
That's
a true story.
That was our collaboration with the Cabbages and Roses. That was Luxury Pickers X Cabbages and Roses.
Contemporary home pieces.
Yeah, we left red wine on their cup.
You're welcome.
Anyway, this is a navy blue cotton pleated dress. It's very Cabbages and Roses, oversized, A-line-y, shapey. Yeah, technically it's A-line. And it's got that sort of semi-drop. I can't explain it to you. It's a semi-drop waist. It doesn't look it, but when you put it on, it sits lower, so it looks like you've got a really long waist.
Yeah, it is. I will say they're very clever. We mentioned that with something else. The skirt actually. I think because they've been creating garments, and they are, like, a lot of people, maybe it's just because we're, you know, kind of more I guess the knowledge, because they're kind of local to us, is a bit different. But I will say, I feel like their garments, they're not only made very well, which they are, but they're also, like, for me, they're thoughtfully made. Like, when I say that, what I mean is, like you just said, name another dress you've ever mentioned on this channel ever that is, would give a difference in shape, unless it was a shape like a miracle dress, or do you see what I'm saying?
They're made in a very special way, and they're always designed oversized to fit multiple size ranges, even though it goes up to a large or extra large. The idea is that it doesn't. If the extra large is sort of like so oversized, it is like 4X. Does that make sense?
To be quite frank, by the same token, if you want to layer it, you could wear the extra large as a size 8.
So it's just about how you wear it. Anyway, £16 for that as well. I've listed that one for 130 off the top of my head. I would list it a bit more. It has got a slight fade to it. Once again, doesn't take away from the garment or the design. But I have accounted for it in my price. We wanted to show you those garments up close and personal because the footage just wasn't there yesterday. And I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you haven't enjoyed this video, then I hope you enjoy the next video. If you don't enjoy the next video, then this is probably not for you. It's probably not your kind of thing.
No, just leave.
And we are working on, I'm working on it. I thought of a really good idea and I'm just going to take all the credit. I think we're going to bring out some videos basically talking singularly about brands, and we're just going to call them brand knowledge, that we get asked a lot of questions about different brands and what they produce and how do I know if this is a good thing to buy from this brand, and etc, etc.
Yeah, we did a couple of videos ago, which maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, go and watch it. We did kind of like, it wasn't a history necessarily, but it was kind of like a brand awareness kind of video, if you want, on Burberry. And a lot of people messaged us and said how helpful it was, and they kind of understood a bit more now. And listen, if it's something you can think of that you'd like a certain brand, you'd like kind of dissect it, if you will. We don't have to give a history lesson necessarily. We might talk about the creative director who started it, but apart from that, we can kind of split up the brands or the offshoots of brands. So it makes it a little bit easier. Yes. And also, when it comes to reselling, knowing those things can make the price higher, make the price lower, whatever else.
And you can say, oh look, I found Max Mara top. The Luxury Pickers were talking about that. I'll watch the video and see if it's worth picking up. That sort of thing. As always, we've been Luxury Pickers.
You're going to do the podcast outro then, weren't you?
I wasn't. I was going to say we're very tired, and then I was going to make a joke because everyone's messaged us and said, you always say you're very tired, but you don't seem very tired.
Yeah, but then on the flip side, I have messages to say, you look tired. Stop.
Well, I had one thing. I looked tired once, and I was like, oh, cheers, love. I'll make sure I drink my vitamin water tomorrow.
Do you know? I think I will say this much: doing one every single day, right? Sometimes some days is harder than others, naturally. By the same token, I think you probably see more, like, even though a lot of our videos are charity shops that we sell with voiceovers, etc., and it's maybe not necessarily us every single day. You get a gauge just from, like, someone said the other night we sounded like delirious because we were just laughing at like mad things on the video, which we found funny. Maybe no one else did, and I don't think they did, but the person mentioned it, which means you can see the difference in us. Like people, like you have your days, you have bad days, you're mad, you're quiet, you're whatever. That's like human beings. So it's very, we're never off necessarily, but we do go up and down. I think it's kind of cool to see that throughout the videos through the weeks go.
Come join us on our roller coaster of emotions, our mental and instability. I'm not sure you can do that.
I just did.
Okay. Luxury pickers.
Bye.
Out.